أحسن عملا. He it is who created death and life to test which of you is best in deeds. الذي, it's referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator. خلق الموت والحياة. He created death and life. ليبلوكم, to test you, which of you is best in deeds. So there is no question from the Quranic perspective that my existence and your existence and that all of mankind's existence is under a trial. We have been created to be tried. So we are under an examination, the Quran says. The Quran mentions this statement many times. You ask a Christian, brethren, why are you here? That's a fundamental question we all need to ask. Why am I here? Who am I? Look at the mirror and say, I look the way I do. Why? Why is it I have a certain quality, a personality? Why is me so important? What is this ego? Why is it so fundamental to me? Why is it so central to me? Why is it that I like me so much? Why do I look the way I do? And why was I born now and not yesterday? When we begin to question this, we have to kind of put ourselves into perspective. Who are we? Where are we coming from? And what is this system of human beings being born every day, every hour, every second? And every hour and every second, people are dying. These are all questions central to the human being, where it is at the core of this humanity, and from that level, when we begin to examine, it creates a different person. We become different people when we start to examine at this level. If you look at, our sister Batul made a beautiful presentation today with regards to time. You find that the elements that try to keep us away from understanding ourselves are those elements of mundane, vain trivialities, senseless issues. You know, the couch potato mentality, where you feed the refrigerator and the refrigerator feeds you all day. The one that you watch television 18 hours a day, knowing when after you've come out, you just have rings under your eyes, but you have no idea what progression you made during that day, except you indulged in vain, trivial nonsense. For that's what the entertainment world is all about. Why is it so prevalent? Why is it that we have so much of it? These trivialities. If you look at the system, there is an element of evil that is pervasive in trying to keep us away from knowing who we are. Human beings take certain umbrage. They don't like it when someone points out their mistakes. We don't like that. In public speaking, many times I've been told, sometimes when I speak, I point my own mistakes very much, even in the public forum, for certainly I'm not a perfect being. I'm full of mistakes. But I have accepted the fact that in this short world that I will live in, I need to be critical of myself in order to improve myself, and thus I need to expose my weakness. I need to find those broken chain links on my armor so that the enemy cannot strike me in that position, for it is a battle that we live in. Yet shaitan keeps us busy. Shaitan, this generic term, Iblis, the devil, evil. I'd like to speak about this tonight, inshallah. But let me get back to the very fundamental basics. So why are we here? You ask a Christian, he will tell you, we are under trial. You ask a Jew, he will tell you, we are under trial. You ask a Hindu, he will tell you, we are under trial. Each one interprets the trial slightly differently. The method, the mechanism, the origin, where are we going, the ultimate return differs for every school of thought. It's fascinating. Even the atheist will give you his version of why they are here. So if we understand why we are here, we can begin to make more sense of what are we supposed to do therefore. So let's be very quick and fundamental. I won't go too deep into this, because I think the purpose of these presentations is not to go very deep, but simply to introduce the subject so that we can ponder over it. I really like to bring out these subjects, touch on them, If time permits, we can certainly go deeper into it, for I'm always fascinated about this situation. And I find the pristine quality of Allah's logic placed in front of me with regards to these kinds of discussion is so systematic, it's so fundamental, it's so easy to understand that, subhanAllah, it's like the pieces of the puzzle just fall into place and the picture becomes vivid and you have a certain quality and a feeling of confidence in yourself. Look at human behavior. We hate to be in a situation where we are uninformed of the environment. The most uncomfortable state for a human being is not knowing where or what they are. It's a very perplexing state. Imagine if you didn't know where you were. You wake up in the morning, you don't know what time it is, you don't know your own name. You find a human being feels extremely uncomfortable. Knowing where you are, who you are, where did you come from, where are you going, with certainty is a form of enormous pleasure. For a human being feels at ease when they see that. So we need to know who we are, we need to understand it, but what happens is many of us fabricate a fantasy around ourselves, telling ourselves something we are which we really not. And as a result, what we find is that the reality never fits the fantasy and we're in a constant battle with ourselves till we drop dead. And what you find is these discussions are fundamental. Once we know who we are, we will have no choice but to submit. Look at the atheist. Let's start from all these different perspectives. We have different forms of belief in God. We have the atheist, then you have the agnostic, the one who is unsure. The atheist says there is no God. The agnostic says, I'm not sure. Then you have the theist. You have the monotheist who believes in one God. You have the polytheist, and there are many forms of them. The Hindu is a polytheist, one who says there are many shapes and forms of God. The pantheist, the one who considers nature to be God. The one who sees, like the Native American Indian in America, is known to be a pantheist, one who sees the sun, or the Parsis, the Persians who worship the sun. You find the Zoroastrians, they are known as the pantheists, the ones who believe in nature as God. Each one interprets God differently, or some reject God. How is that possible? Let's look at the atheist. The atheist says, I am just a product of an accident. Ask them, how did you come? There was an atheist who came to our Islamic center and says, I don't believe in God. I said, you don't? He said, no. You believe in God, why? So I asked him, I said, how did you come? Where did you come from? And please don't tell me you came from your mother. Because we know that already. That's like a very dumb answer people give you sometimes. You'll be surprised a PhD will take, I came from my mother. Yeah, sir, I know that. That was not the intention of the question. We're asking you, where did you all come from? Where did this world come from? And then they start giving you nice little stories. Well, like, you know, like there was like this energy, like, you know, floating in the air, like, you know. And we had like carbon and oxygen and nitrogen. And then there was like this spark and things kind of just like happened. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala. So you say to them, oh really, that's nice. And where did the carbon come from? And the hydrogen and the oxygen and this energy that you speak about. And you find they're perplexed. How do we answer that one? So the theorists have always been thinking, the solution, even if you look at the Greek philosophers, they couldn't quite contemplate on this issue. So there were two schools of thought. There was one that said, you know what? The universe has always been here. It's eternal. Thus, the question of asking where did it come from is inconsequential because there's no need, it's always been here. That was one thought. And the other, of course, said no, it had to have been created And that philosopher says, well, everything is created and there's a continual chain of creations. So the created